Hey, what is up, you guys? Welcome to my channel. This first video is gonna be I was planning to make a recap of the Cour 2 and a review, but I started recording and it was like 45 minutes and I was still like 2 episodes missing. So I'll do it, but I'll probably probably end up dropping it later. It'll probably end up being a pretty long video. So yeah, I also want to do the recap slash review, and of course top 10 best moments and top 10. Oh, I also want to do a top 10 best or 5. I'm not sure how many I could get, but I'm pretty sure I could get 10. Best anime inclusions, best like anime original content, whatever you want to call it. But today I actually wanted to talk about something that I felt that was missing, the 7 opportunities that I kind of wish that they had expanded on, or I guess you could call it the 7 biggest missed opportunities in Court 2. I guess that's better title for YouTube anyways. But all right, let's do these. I do want to apologize for any roughness in the editing or the voice. I mean, I'm used to it. I do have a TCG channel. I'm more used to doing openings and just, just sitting in front of a camera and just doing stuff live, not really doing a lot of edits and all of this. So this is new for me. So hey, please bear with me. All right, let's do these. Number 7, I will have 7 and an honorable mention. No, I'm not gonna clickbait you and do like 3 honorable mentions, making this essentially a top 10. No, it will be 1 honorable mention. So it will be essentially a top 8. But the last one, the honorable, think of the honorable mention as number 8, but for some reason it's always mentioned before number 1. I'm not sure why, but I won't mention it before number 1. I just think that's weird because usually when I hear honorable, I assume that you mean that it's the last one, but don't get me started. Honorable mention. We have BG9 and Robert Accutron Shift. Why? Like this is just one of those things that could have been resolved in, like, all of these are gonna be within reason. I'm not gonna say, oh, create a whole new arc. None of these missed opportunities are gonna be anything like that. Just because as much as I am a fanboy of Bleach, and I am, I've watched OG Bleach like 3 times. I've been waiting for this return. Trust me. But I am a realist at the end of the day. It's just not realistic to expect all of that, or to change the whole ending type of deal. So these are more realistic. Well, I think they are more realistic anyways. Let me know if you think so, or you think, oh no, bro, you're out of your goddamn mind. But anyways, going back to the honorable mention, BG9 and Robert Shrift. I mean, there is legitimately no reason. This could have been added in a single line of dialogue. Yuhaba could have said, come back to me. The knowledge, I'm assuming is the knowledge, K, BG9. And the near, for Robert Accutron, he's pretty fast. So near, I think, makes sense. Or the Neo. Or no, that doesn't even make sense. What the hell? The Neo. No, the near. Let's just say the near. Fuck it. The near. That's all they had to say. Or even Jukram, all they had to say was the near, the knowledge, you have failed. Like, it would show, and even then I think it would even emphasize the whole stern reader demeanor even more, that they don't really care about the subordinates, really. Like, they don't care about them as persons. Like, they just care about them for their letter, for their power. I think that would have even highlighted that more. Like, if they had just called them by that, like, they don't even care about their names. They're just their shrift. They're boiled down to their shrift. But alas, we didn't. This still can be corrected technically. I mean, Robert especially, because he didn't technically get shown getting killed off. So that one is more salvageable. But BG9, like, it will take some throwaway line to solve this. Like, Yuhabak is gonna have to have an eulogy to all of them or something. Like, he's gonna have to have a memorial for them. And he's gonna have to be like the balance, the compulsory, the dead dealing, the explode. Like, he's just gonna have to go through the whole list at this point for us to get this shit. Like, it's insane. Like, I don't understand. Anyways, honorable mention. Be United and Robert Shrift. This, I put it honorable. If it wasn't because it's still possible that we could get it, I definitely would have put this one on number 1. Trust me. Or sorry, not number 1. That's too much. But definitely like top 5. Easily top 5. Because this is such an easily fixable thing, and something that we've been asking for years. Like, at this point, and there's not really any reason not, like, whatever. Point is, honorable mention. Number 7, I would have liked to see how Kisuke figured out the hollow pill. I know that you can infer how he did it, I know, and I'll try to do my best to explain how. But realistically speaking, if you're just watching the show, and from one episode, they're like, oh shit, we're getting our ass kicked. Like, there's nothing we can do. We don't have a Bankai. And then suddenly Kisuke shows up, like, well, lol, by the way, here it is. Uno reverse. And then they start getting their ass whooped. I kind of wish that they had shown a bit more of Kisuke figuring it out. Again, we have the context that he saw firsthand the events of, obviously, the Aizen incident in Turn Back the Pendulum. He also saw the events in Nothing But the Rain, the second, goddamn Aizen, the second Aizen incident with Masaki. So he knows how Hollow Ryatsu works and how it interacts with different beings, Soul Reapers and Quincy's now. So I think it would have been cool to show how he's in Wakamundo. He's obviously experimenting with Hollow Ryatsu, while he has a Quincy medallion, Courge's. So I think it would have been cool because they do show like a small scene, but like it's like a 2 second scene. Like he's just experimenting with his medallion. Like I think it would have been cool, like literally a 2 minute scene. Like I'm not asking for like a whole episode. Like I'm just saying it would have been cool to see him toying with the medallion, putting like Hollow Ryatsu, showing it, rejecting it, and then him saying like, oh yeah, that lines up with my conclusions from the Masaki incident or something like that. Just giving him more spotlight in these earlier episodes. I know that he will get more spotlight later on, especially Cour. I'm guessing Cour 4 or Cour 3, one of the two. Whenever if you know, you know. I'm not gonna spoil it. If you know his big fight. Hey, there you go. And or his big moment, if you want to call it, whatever you want to prefer calling it. And it's just I do kind of wish that he had more spotlight in this, especially like how prominent he is, like, and how important that is, how important that discovery is. I do wish that it had been given more importance. But hey, that plot was given that much importance, so maybe the solution didn't deserve that much either. Number 6, we're gonna have BG9 and Kangdu, and more specifically, I guess BG9. I think Kangdu kind of got a better showing, but I do wish that they had shown more of them, especially like I said, BG9 because of the whole Shrift thing, but. Just because we're not gonna see them, and I know that they're at the end of the day they're mostly minor antagonists, but I do think that they have pretty cool abilities, especially BG9, the whole missile. It's such a futuristic contrast to the typical swords, the typical I'm gonna use this power and immobilize you type of deal. Like this dude is firing fucking thermobaric missiles type of deal, dude. Like that's crazy. And I think it would have been so cool, seeing Soifon dodge missiles and, fighting him and throwing her own. Well, she did, but, more like dynamically. And, just fighting more in general, like with her Shunko as well. Well, wait, I think he cut it, huh? Well, they don't show. See, that's the thing. They don't even show it. Like, they cut the good parts of BG9 to make him seem even more minor. Like, he's intelligent. He figures out how Shunko works, and I think he stops it. I actually think he does stop it. When he stabs Soifon through the wrist, he actually manages to stop it because that is where the reishi circulates, apparently. So, like, those kind of things you could have shown and make him seem, much more knowledgeable than knowledge. No pun intended, but so much more, relevant and so much more intimidating and so much more like, oh shit, they actually know what the hell they're doing. Like, they're not just, just doing random stuff. And Kangdu as well, I kind of just wish they had shown his ability more. Like they show it twice, and one of them is right before he dies, and in an execution, not even like in a fight, like in an execution. So do you even count that? I guess. I mean, I'll count it. It's one of the 2 times. The only other time is when Toshiro graces his arm one time. I just wish they had shown like a cool scene, like Noitora. He had that cool ass scene with Kenpachi where he's like, "You can't cut me." Kenpachi's like, "Oh yeah." And he tries and that blade just like slides and has that like effect, that those like sparks flying off because he can't cut him. That was so badass. But no, we don't get that to a dude who's literally fucking iron. Yikes. Anyways, hey, they got executed because obviously they failed. No one else gets executed because they fail. And the Stern Ritter second invasion, they don't have the best track record. The first invasion, goddamn, they're like the most efficient workers. But the second invasion, they start slopping, and a lot of them don't get, let's just say, don't get held to the same standard. But anyways, that's number 6. Just kind of that inconsistency in the treatment of Stern Ritters. I kind of wish that some of them had gotten a bit more. especially the notable two ones that I mentioned. And number five, I kind of wish that they had made Rose seem a bit more competent. Kensei as well, but at least Kensei went out kind of like how you expect him to go out. You know, like guns blazing, like a hot hit. He went for head first. He punches Mask. Well, I don't even know if he kills him. I think he kills him, and then obviously James brings him back to life, or like heals him, whatever the case might be of the two. I don't know. Point is, he comes back stronger, and he whoops his ass. That's cool. That's fitting to him. Like he just rushed head first. He went Bankai, you know, pretty much balls deep, and he paid the price for it. Like he rushed into it, and that's Kensei though. That fits. That makes sense. He doesn't look as bad, and he has like a cool showing with his ability too. And Rose has the he has a cool showing with his ability. Don't get me wrong. It looks amazing, but he goes out like such a chump, like such a I'm sorry, but like that's such a sad way to go out. Like not even a lieutenant would go out like that. Like I don't understand. He traps Mask, right? And that's cool. Like I said, the visuals are amazing. We have the whole 4 songs. I think it's like, oh no, it's 3. They show 2. He's about to sing the third one or perform the third one, but he dies or gets incapacitated. But the first 2 songs are amazing. Fire, water, you know, the visuals are there. The anime is doing their part. But and this is obviously the same in the story. It's not nothing that they changed, obviously. But and then they show him as soon as he's about to kill him. Pretty much, I'm guessing the third one would have killed him. As soon as he's about to deliver the finishing blow, he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, my power works as he's killing him in the second one." He's like, "Oh yeah, no. If as long as you can hear my music, you're pretty much fucked." And it's like, who says that? It's like, as long as I can hear your music, you're fucked. As long that word is very important. He says, if you can. I think he says if you can hear my. It's the same. At the end of the day, it's the same thing. If you can hear my music. Point is, there's a condition, and if that condition can be broken, which is very easily achievable by a dude who's shown to heal himself, then he immediately knows what to do. And it's not even like he takes him like, oh, like he hesitates, like it's a fucking saw trap or something. Like he's just walking around like, oh, should I do it or should I not? Like, no, this dude, no hesitation. Again, he can heal himself. So no shit, no hesitation. He just destroys his eardrums. And Rose ends up looking like a clown. He's like, oh, what are you doing? Like, do you destroy your eardrums? And yeah, he gets a star blasted into him. And it's like, why? Like, you could have written it so much easier to not, you know, have him look like a chump. You could have written it to the point where the music started getting so distorting, to the point where it was fucking with him so much, like that the music was getting too loud, it was getting too distorted, whatever excuse you want to use, I don't care, and that he couldn't hear anything from the outside. Obviously, I think that's a given. And out of desperation, then, because he's literally getting burnt, like in that scene, he's getting burnt. So out of desperation, he starts climbing out his eardrums. Like that would look so much more natural. Like he, out of desperation, obviously is looking for James because he knows he can heal him, but he can't hear him, and he's just looking around like, oh my god, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And out of desperation, he's like, I need to make this music fucking stop. Versus Rose telling him, that would be natural. That's a natural progression. That's something you see out of desperation, a human in desperate situation. And versus Rose telling you exactly, oh, by the way, this is what you need to do, and he does it immediately. That makes him look so weak, I feel like, especially for a captain. And I know that it transcends to all the visors, and don't worry, I'll get to Shinji. And I know that it translates to all the visors, but I kind of just wish that this was something that they fixed, especially because it's something that so many people, you know, gave shit to the original for. And like I said, I'm a fanboy. I'm the biggest Bleach fanboy. Well, not the biggest, but one of the bigger Bleach fanboys. And even we have to admit the faults in the series, you know, and that is a huge one. It's such a bad character moment. I was gonna say development. What development? It's like regression, if anything. It's just such a bad character moment for Rose. It just makes him look so weak, I feel like. And not my happiest moment. When I saw the episode, I'll admit I was kind of pissed that they didn't change anything about it. And hey, there you go. I gave you an out, cool. I gave you an out. Number 4. We're gonna talk about Shinji. Don't worry. Yes, we're gonna talk about Shinji's Bankai, actually, to be specific. Because I actually think he got a nice little showing against Bambiera. Well, like halfway showing. I still think it was kind of neat that he at least did something. He didn't get, instantly annihilated. But I do wish that they had implemented Shinji's Bankai not into Bambiera's fight because it wouldn't really make sense. There wasn't any soldats or anything. But what I think they could have done, because I think it's explained later on that during this time, Shinji and Basby came into contact with each other around Omaida, that he saved them. And I think it would have been so cool to show that like Shinji runs into Omaida with Momo, I'm guessing, obviously. And Omaida's all fucked up from that BG9 encounter. He got stabbed and he's obviously all messed up. He's looking for Isane or like help or whatever fourth squad member. And Shinji comes into him and suddenly they run into Basby and a bunch of soldat. Because Basby has been shown commanding a lot of soldat. You see that with the Toshiro fight. So it's not like it's nothing new. It's not like he's the loner. Like he has been shown with soldat. So they could have just included a bunch of soldat. And here's the best part. Shinji activates his Bankai, and then Basby ends up killing. Obviously, they all gonna start killing each other, but obviously Basby is stronger than all the soldats. So it's a 2-for-1. You get Shinji to look like a fucking crazy ass maniac. All he has to do is tell Momo, get Omaida and Omaida's pretty fast anyways. He's like the second in the stealth force, so he's pretty quick, if anything. So all he has to do is tell him, like, oh, get as far away from possible and distract Basby for a little bit with his Shikai. The Shikai is insane. So all he has to do is distract them and then activate the Bankai. And it's like GG. And that would have looked so cool. Imagine that scene, like seeing Basby just like burning alive a bunch of soldats, like just using burning stomp, burning finger, just like crazy, like double burning finger with like both hands. Like that would have looked fucking sick. And it would have looked so cool. This is one of my more wishful ones because I feel like that is a lot. That would have been like a 5-minute scene, so that is a lot. But I feel like it could have been so cool, and it would have added so much to Basby, who is such a popular Stern Ritter. And I know he gets a big moment later on. He gets like two big moments, I would say. He gets like some big moments later on, but still, he doesn't really get that many like especially fight moments. So I feel like this would have really added to his portfolio and, risen his stock up, if you want to call it that. So hey, another missed opportunity. Number 3, we got Sajin. And I know, he's not the most popular character. I know he's one of those forgetful captains that a bunch of people dismiss and say, oh, Sajin? Who? And I'm just not one of those people. I've been a fan. I love Wolf Boy. I love, his whole story. I just think is so interesting, the whole clan thing. And I think it was such a cool development. Out of all the stolen bankers, he clearly, I think it's pretty agreed upon that he clearly had the best one. And I just think it was such a good opportunity to finally start giving him that respect and that, credibility that he deserves. He's been there for God's sake, he's been there for so long. He obviously has to have a lot of credibility, but it's just never shown. Like his best fight prior to this was what, against a fucking Fraction? Or no, against Kaname, which that was a pretty good fight, I'll say. But prior to that, his only fight was against a Fraction. And it was like over in one punch. Like he punches him, Sajin tanks him, and he's like, oh Lord, is that it? And he just flips him over. And so he just never really got that Kenpachi fight. Don't even get me started. They don't even show Sajin fight at all. So don't even come at me with that shit. And that's it. They don't show he's not in Wakamundo, obviously. So that's all the respect he got up until then. So I feel like this would have been such a good opportunity to finally let him build, that fan base, that have him at that moment, especially because we're not gonna see him again, or at least in his, regular self form. We're just not gonna see him again. So I feel like this would have been a great opportunity to, as a last goodbye, pay respect to him. And what do I mean by this? I know I've been talking a lot, like a minute about this, but I feel like his whole transformation was amazing. Don't get me wrong. I love the whole thing behind the human thing, the story, but it was done so fast. It wasn't even like an epic, like at least, what's it called? We could get an episode for her, for her whole showcase of her new powers and her Bankai. Dude, Sajin got half an episode for something that is so drastic. Like literally, this dude is about to die, or die as we know him, and he just sacrificed his heart. That's a huge deal. And he gets half an episode. And it's like, oh man. And it's a good thing. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a good like choreography and stuff. But I do just wish they had added more to it. And at the end as well, I do wish they had added a bit more, gravitas, I guess you would say, towards the end scene, so that it would make more sense that he sold his soul to revenge. Because to this day, I'm sorry, I look at that scene. I actually watched it like 2 days ago because I was watching the Bambiera scene, and the video I watched, they left the final scene. And I was watching it and I'm thinking, like, how did he sell his soul for revenge? Obviously, yeah, he initially sold his soul for revenge. I'm not saying he didn't initially. Like, yeah, obviously he did initially. He ripped out his heart. But at the end of the day, I think he proved the opposite, that he wasn't selling his soul for revenge, because he ended up literally giving his power for a friend in need. Like, he chose to use that power, even though, like I said, I don't know if it was limited or not. I'm assuming he didn't, or he knew, but just didn't know how limited it was. He chose to use that limited power to save a friend, rather than saying, well, I'm gonna die either way, realistically speaking, or I'm just, I'm not gonna never be the same after this, realistically speaking. So fuck it, let me just do all I can to get to you, Habak. Instead of thinking selfishly and just sticking on revenge, he picked a selfless route. And so I do think the ending is kind of fuzzy. Like, if you start thinking too much about it, like, yeah, they start showing the Kaname scenes and you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. But then you start thinking about it and you're like, I don't know, man. Kaname, to his last moment, was pretty much selfish. Only until his deathbed, pretty much, was he like, oh, my bad. But before then, no, he was like, he was picking selfish motives, versus Sajin, who, yeah, first picked the selfish motive, but right away, when given the choice to act, like, okay, what are you gonna do now? He right away picked the selfless act, versus Kaname, who right away, oh, let me betray the Soul Society and start attacking Sajin and start attacking Shuhei. So I just feel like the paths were not as similar as they would have liked us to believe, to be quite, or at least how they were depicted. I just don't think they were as similar as they would have liked us to depict. What I think they could have done to solve this, again, I'm not one without solutions, or if not without solutions, of course. I think they could have done two things. One, they could have showed him hesitating to help Shinji, like obviously he's heading towards the palace at first, assuming he's obviously heading toward Yuha. So he's heading towards the palace, and he senses, because obviously they can sense each other, he senses Shinji's spiritual pressure just dropping, massively, like off a cliff. And everyone's like, you can show like a couple reaction shots, I don't know, like, oh, Shinji, 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 like a couple of the visors or something, I don't know. Well, actually, the ones that still were around, I was gonna say, I don't even think any of them were still around. Oh wait, no, this was before Kensei. Oh no, yeah, they could have shown Kensei and Rose, like, just being like, oh, Shinji, like getting worried about him, and then like Sajin, like having that like confrontation, like he's so mad of the fact that he might have to abandon his quest for revenge, that he's actually considering not doing it. Like, that would have added a lot. Or maybe even show him being roped into the situation, like maybe not even by choice, because how it's shown, he chooses to get into the situation. It's not like he gets roped into it. That would have worked too if he was roped into the situation. Like, let's say Bambiera blows up Shinji, and Shinji's body like happens to fly across him, like his face, and he obviously sees that, and now he has to act. And now Bambiera is coming after him. She finds him and she's like, oh, there you are. So now he didn't have the choice. So it's more selfish. It's more like, oh, he didn't want to do it, but he got roped into it. And or what they could have done as well, if they didn't want to do it pre-fight, they could have, as soon as he beat Bambiera, instead of walking, I don't know why the fuck he was walking. Instead of walking, he could have just started getting even more mad. You could show him even like starting to get more like animal like more hair starts growing on him and stuff, like his arms, as he starts sprinting towards you, Habak. And then he starts, getting pissed, starts remembering Yama, what they did, the whole destruction of the Soul Society. And then that's when he collapses. But I just feel like, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it was kind of rushed, to be quite honest. Like, and it was such a big moment for him that it is kind of a shame, because he obviously won't get another big moment like that at all, or a moment at all. I was saying big like that, man, a moment at all to shine. And the original material, he didn't show up at all, but at least in this one, he showed up once again. But anyways, that's it. That's for Sajin again. I am a fan of Sajin, so it just sucks to see him, even to this day, still not getting that 100% respect. And number two is Renji. Definitely, I mean, he's one of the main characters of the series, so I feel like this definitely had to be up, in the top three. He's been there since I think what, like episode 14 or something like that. Like he's pretty early on. Since the Substitute Soul Reaper arc, and we've been following his journey. I still think it's hilarious that his senpai just chose to fuck him over for no reason. Like, why do you not just tell him the name? Like, he got the Yumichika treatment for no reason. Like, he treats his sword with so much respect, but alright, whatever. Anyways, point is, I think that sword probably looked at his win-loss ratio and said, what the fuck is this? I'm not about to join with your trash ass. And then Ichibe, you had to force. Anyways, don't get me started with that. Point is, Renji has been there since the beginning. He's such a pivotal character. And this is his biggest moment. This is his big moment in this arc. And like we made such a big deal of him going to the royal palace. Like he was shown that he was keeping up with Ichigo. Like he wasn't no slouch. Like we got that scene with the hot spring where he was able to tank the hit. And he's like, oh, if you didn't tank that hit, you would have died, or type of deal. And just, so much build up for it to just end in like 10 minutes is like, oh, okay. Like at least Rukia got a whole episode. Like if he had gotten a whole episode, that would have solved the Rose issue because he probably would have gotten more screen time. And it would have solved the Renji issue because he would have gotten, more. I'm not even saying the whole episode. Like at least give him like a 3/4 of an episode. Like damn, like you can have your cliffhanger. That's fine. You can set up your next episode, but just give him a chance to shine. Especially, we're never gonna see this Bankai again, and it's such a cool one, and it's such a power up, and it's such a defining character moment for him to finally be strong enough to not just sit around and rely on others to save him. He finally gets to take someone down, like someone who matters, someone who's taking pretty much everyone now. He's taking two captains down. He's taking like two lieutenants. Like this dude is going on a rampage, and Renji gets to take him down. That is such a big moment, but it ends. I'm pretty sure it just ends with him using Saga Tepu. Like he's just standing there, and it just cuts to black. Like what? Like he doesn't even get the grace of like undoing his Bankai and then like leaving, or like Rukia does. Like he's just standing there, and the episode just cuts to black. Oh man. So that is a huge one. I do wish the mass fight got extended. Like not even the mass fight in general, like just that portion of the mass fight specifically. Or you know what? Nah, fuck it. Just the mass fight in general, just because of the Rose thing as well. I do wish just that fight in general had more spotlight to shine. Kind of like the zombies one was 2 parts. Like I get why, because the whole Pepe thing, but still like that one was 2 parts versus this one who has pivotal characters. And it's just like, oh, all wrapped up in one episode. Rose Bankai and Renji's Bankai all packed up in one episode. Like what? Like that is and mass explanation for his power and Kensei's. Like this is all in one episode. It's so much. It's just I do wish they had been, given more prominence, to say the least. And then another one that was gonna make it to the honorable mention. Again, it's not, so don't worry, it's not technically a top 9. It was gonna be Kenpachi, but I feel like he got on, like, just because the scene with the meteor was so sick, I feel like that gave him a pass, but he was still a victim to the one episode fight. But still, his at least was the whole episode, or like at most of like 80% of the episode. The Yuichiro, obviously, like 2-3 minutes, but it was most of the episode. So for his, I was pretty happy with. And then finally, the final missed opportunity was something that I've been mentioning a lot, probably you probably noticed, is the lack of interconnectedness. It started to feel a lot especially towards the halfway point. Like once we got past the stolen Bankai plot, once we got to the Sajin fight and the, what's it called? The Renji fight, the episode started to become so episodic, I feel like, that they started losing most interconnectedness between them. Like it started to feel like villain of the week type of episodes, like, oh, now this Stern Reader is causing trouble. Oh, now this Stern Reader is causing trouble. Now this Stern Reader. And that's just the nature of it when you have 26 villains. Like you literally introduce a whole alphabet of villains. Like you obviously are going to have to, spend less time with some of them than others. But at the same time, like these aren't like fodder villains anymore. Like we're not talking about, like Bernice, or we're not talking about Lloyd, or even he got a better fight, ironically enough. Or well, I guess he's pretty important. But we're not talking about, like these characters, like Kang Du. We're not talking about these characters. Like we're talking about like important, like Renji. We're talking about, Kenpachi. We're talking about the Visionary, damn near one of the strongest, Sternbeard. We're talking about Asuna, one of the more popular Sternbearers. We're talking about Mask, who took out like five, or like, yeah, like four captain level Shinigami. It's insane. I mean, if you think about it, just how fast we're jumping in between each of these, and there's no interconnectedness between them. I think that's something the Arrancar did. The Arrancar arc did a little bit better. Once they started introducing all these different fights that were happening simultaneously, kind of like here, what they would do is, yeah, they would show most of the episode would be one fight, but they would usually try to make sure to at least show a snippet of the other fight, like just so that you feel that they're happening at the same time, and they're not like, oh well, this episode happened, let me jump to the next chapter, let me jump to the next chapter. And I know that's technically what's happening, but like these fights are supposed to be happening at the same time. So I just kind of wish that they would show, like, and they don't even have to show anything crazy. Like I'm not saying, oh, as Renji's fighting Mask, show us Asuna using his Volstandi. Like I'm not saying that. I'm saying like they could have like Renji when he released his Bankai, they could have had Rukia like a reaction shot, like, oh my god, like he did it, like he finally released it, or something like that, like someone acknowledging it, like someone outside that fight, outside of that little episode, something that can carry over type of deal. But unfortunately not. It was all very episodic. I feel like the last three episodes were amazing. They fixed that issue, no problem whatsoever with them. I think they were amazing. They each led into each other very naturally, and that's what that's kind of what I felt when I was reading it originally, the original material. That's just how it was. Again, just having so many villains at once is kind of how it's gonna go. But that is something that I kind of wish they had fixed, and something that well, no, because they're not gonna really gonna have fights like that. All the fights that are coming up should be, at least that I think, should be like one or two, like 2 episode full fights. I'm trying to think, is there any like smaller fight that happens? I don't think so. I think most of the fights now, yeah, will be like prolonged ones. So that's why I'm saying, because I know that the last ones are, I know that these are gonna be long. I know that they're not gonna mess around with these, and these do feel like, especially because they're so long, and these actually don't happen, I'm pretty sure, back to back. Like they actually have like plot in between them. Versus this one, where it's supposed to be an invasion, so it's all happening at the same time, but it doesn't feel that way, just because of how it's framed. So that's just something that I was thinking, and that's pretty much it. That's my top 7. Kind of ended up running a bit long. Again, I'm a massive fanboy, so sorry. I do enjoy talking about this series a lot, and I will be doing so. This channel will be dedicated, hopefully, mostly to. I was gonna do gaming and anime, but I feel like that's also doesn't mesh too well. So I think I prefer just do another channel for that. So yeah, I'll probably just stick to anime for now. I'll definitely be doing a bunch of Bleach. It's not just gonna be Bleach, but I'm definitely gonna be doing a bunch of Bleach right now, just to celebrate, the end of Cour 2 and the return of Bleach. I mean, I don't think you guys understand. If you're not like a long-term fan, trust me, it's the moment it returned, it was a huge fucking deal. Like a million core memories unlocked that same day. So I rewatched OG Bleach. I remember the day it got announced, and I've been having a blast since. I know I talked about this video was more like criticism based, but again, I will be making like 5, 6 videos pretty much just sucking Bleach off. So don't worry, we'll be hearing a bunch of positive stuff, and obviously, and again, even if we're fans, I'm pretty sure we can all admit to some faults, and hope for better. Especially since we have 2 courses left still. It's not like we just have one. So hey, there's still time to improve. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. Please stay, comment, and subscribe for more Bleach discussions. I'll be planning to do top 10. Some of the videos that I plan to do, just to give you guys a little preview, is the Bleach related ones. Is gonna be, I plan to do the recap slash review. It's gonna be a long one, so I guess we'll see how that goes. But yeah, the recap slash review. I plan to do my top 10 best moments. I plan to do the top 5 or 10. I'll see how many I can get, or like be a number in between, I guess. the top whatever anime exclusive moments, probably top 5 anime exclusive moments, or anime original, whatever, because they added a lot and I'm very happy they did. So very happy with that. And then I'm also gonna be probably doing, just in general, a bunch of, related, maybe even some OG Bleach. Fuck it, I don't know. Point is, hey, stay tuned if you're interested in that. And another non-Bleach related one, I guess I could spoil. I do want to talk about my experience with Naruto Shippuden, the ending of it. It's might turn into a bit of a rant, but just another something other than Bleach as well. But again, thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned. See you.